Just reminding yourself before each phone call is your pockets are not their pockets. If you truly believe in your business and that you guys are going to do a great job, you won't ever worry about that.
This is Filthy Rich Cleaners, the podcast where real cleaning business owners share what works so you can earn more, stress less, and make your business filthy rich.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast. I am your host, Stephanie from Serene Clean, and today's fantastic guest is joining us from Philadelphia, where he has ran his cleaning company for 2 years. He is co-owner, and he is here to tell us all about his story. Sidi, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. Your team reached out and I was excited. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, we'd love to hear what you did prior to owning a cleaning company. Well, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 25 years old.
Oh, so just a baby, as I say at 29. So everybody's a baby underneath me. So that's amazing. Very motivated man. Very, very impressive. So tell me, what did you do before you opened the business?
So I was in the fitness industry for pretty long time. So I started off as a personal trainer about 6 years ago and just moved my way up. So once I stopped being a personal trainer, I just fell in love with sales. Just talking to people, connecting with people, helping them with their goals. It's a company in the city, but once I kind of just realized just working a job and just staying constrained with like just a strict schedule, I needed to break out of my shackles and kind of figure it out on my own, which is why I kind of just went into starting a cleaning company.
Okay. What kind of sales were you in, CD, before the cleaning business? I'm curious because you said you fell in love with it. So what were you selling?
Fitness sales. So
Okay,
personal training. Yeah.
Understood. So transitioning into the cleaning business, like, is there something in particular that drew you to our industry, I should say?
So the biggest thing was I have a few Airbnbs. So this is how me and my business partner, we were just like thinking out loud. We were just always having conversations and we're like, we have to start a company or start a business that's gonna, yes, help us make money, but also help us help other people. And we both have Airbnbs and we were just like, do you have good cleaners? I'm like, they're okay. They're not really consistent. And we just kind of asked each other the same question. And we're like, maybe we just start a cleaning company and find our own cleaners and obviously test it out, see how it goes. And we wanted to kind of niche down to Airbnb, but we ended up just focusing on one area, which is residential. So.
Okay, I gotcha. So that's pretty incredible that you both were our owners of vacation rentals. And what you're highlighting and what I want to just remind our audience of, like, the fact that if you sense a need in your own life and you're seeing a gap, that's like a perfect place to come in and fill that gap if you feel so inclined to open a business. So love that you guys saw that and in the market, because you are so right, is that vacation rental owners are always looking for more cleaners because, when it comes to our competition, meaning other cleaning businesses or individuals, like, that consistency and reliability just is not there. What kind of things were you seeing as an owner that you were like, this is not working outside of just reliability?
Yeah, I think the main thing was I feel like a lot of cleaners are doing their own thing, right? They are just trying to, just make money. And I can completely understand. So the cleaners that I have now, they have a system that they can work through, specifically for my Airbnb. So the cleaners that I have for my Airbnbs are completely separate for the cleaning company, because I don't want to mix the two. But for the Airbnb, they have a simple system. I kind of help them lay out everything. So here's where all the laundry is. Here's where all the equipment and everything that you'll need to come in, just clean it. And it shouldn't take you any longer than an hour to do everything, right? And I think before, I'll definitely put this on myself too, is when I first started, obviously, I'm brand new to owning an Airbnb. So I just needed to create systems, and then also create systems for the cleaners. And I think that helped a little bit more. But also finding the right cleaners is kind of hard. but also communication. You have to make sure that the cleaners are actually, or I would say just you have to make sure that they understand what you want done. Because if you're not communicating the right way, then they're not going to get it done the right way.
I see. I see. I'm curious in Philadelphia when it comes to even like your vacation rental that you own. Are these like apartments? Are they townhouses? What kind of places? Because I mean, getting through in an hour, like that's fast, especially when we're talking laundry and things like that. Like that would be unheard of for us. Where rural Wisconsin, we have like lake houses and like big cabins and things like
Yeah,
that.
no, that's
So
huge.
hours. Yeah. So what are you guys? What does that look like in your market?
For me, my Airbnbs are just small units, so they're pretty small. I have one that's maybe 400 square feet, and the other one is like 300 square feet. So super easy, and it's really for a lot of people that are traveling into the area. So the area that it's in is for a lot of doctors, nurses, professors, parents that are visiting, their kids in that area. So it's like a perfect place for people to just stay for a few nights.
That's awesome. I'm curious how you do handle the laundry because everybody kind of has different philosophies of laundry. Like, do you one for yourself and your units, but then your customers' units that you have? Like, how do you require them to have laundry handled?
So it's in a separate part of the building. So it's like in the basement. So if I have someone staying long term, they have access to it. But if not, then if they're just staying short term, then they don't have access to it.
Hmm.
But for the cleaners, pretty much everything is kind of just set for them. So when they come back, there should already be like things that have finished drying, right?
Okay.
And then I basically have an entire system of like containers of laundry or like extra sheets, extra pillowcases, extra towels. Everything is there. So it should just be done pretty quickly. So.
Got it. So basically having extra sets of everything to flip it and then either hauling. I mean, do you ever have situations where you have to haul laundry or your cleaners are waiting on laundry? And the reason I ask is like laundry tends to be like the limiting factor for us with multi-bed units or, Airbnbs. So I'm curious, like, do you run into any obstacles with that?
Not necessarily because they're such small units, but that is a great question that you say that because that's why I kind of stayed away from the the bigger houses and bigger units because you're going to be doing laundry forever, or you have to buy like a lot of extra things in order to make sure that you can keep up with it. But I've also heard of cleaning companies just taking the laundry and then doing it on their own and then bringing it back at another time, which I think is honestly a great idea. So,
Yeah, and that's what we would do. We have washers and dryers at the office and stuff. It's just a lot more management of making sure your cleaners don't forget to take it. There's so much administratively with vacation rentals. I'm sure just both on the owner side and the cleaning side that can kind of it's a really high stakes situation because you have one shot to impress this guest, right? Like you can't mess it up.
exactly.
When did you start getting into like the actual residential? Was it right away that you're like, oh, you envisioned this for vacation rentals, but then was that a quick transition into I want to do regular houses then?
So my business partner already had like cleaners that were cleaning his like rentals. And he said they always did a great job. So we trusted them to go out to other people's houses. So we started off by reaching out to friends, coworkers, just people in our network to get some cleanings done. We would also go out there and get some content, right? And that was like the big jump and starting place for us. And then we went into Facebook groups and we were like, hey, we're brand new. We're looking to help some people out with some cleanings. And we actually got surprisingly a lot of requests. And I think that's where it started. We were also trying to get commercial deals. I forget what this YouTube channel was, but these guys that focus specifically on commercial, I was watching a lot of their videos. They talked about how they cold called, and they would literally show their live cold callings, and I just replicated it and called a whole bunch of commercial places, and we didn't land many, but just because a lot of people already had cleaners, but we did land a lot of opportunities to to actually tour the places and give quotes.
Submit some bids. And well, I just want to highlight what you just said is like with commercial, you have to be very tenacious, and it's not like it's just one time that you can hit people, because if you're looking at all of the businesses that need to be cleaned, which is all of them, at any given time only a small fraction is actually in a place where they're ready to switch, right? And it's just a timing thing. You just got to keep hitting them. So love to hear that cold calling did get you some bidding opportunities though, and a testament that it does work. It absolutely does. It can be painful, but obviously you had this sales background. So did that intimidate you at all to cold call, or were you pretty comfortable to do that?
Yeah, I was pretty comfortable. I feel like it's always going to be intimidating for your first time. But one thing that I've learned is that if somebody is already out there doing it, which is what I saw from these guys' YouTube channel, I definitely want to shout them out. But like just copying what works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trying not to just like figure it out or go through a different avenue. Like these guys made a lot of money on it, so copy what works and go for it. But I think once I started to pick up on my language, my tone of voice, and as I continued with the cleaning company over the past few years, when we answer phone calls, it's like, okay, what do I need to fix? And what do I need to ask in order to get more information out of people?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if your business experiences this a lot, but obviously a lot of people just call just to get a price. And if that's coming from Google, that means you're spending $50 on that lead. So we need to convert them so we don't lose that money. I think being able to use my sales background was really helpful with that.
Do you use any sales scripts, or are you pretty like natural at just going off the cuff?
I've created some scripts, and then I use different scripts as well. I think it's important to have something in front of you, just to practice. I think like you got to practice. I don't think I've ever just tried to be it like natural, because it works, but also you won't know what works unless like you have it written down. You have a structure, okay? And if that structure is not working for a few months, okay, let's throw that away and let's try something different.
I totally agree in that, like, introducing scripts into calls was so useful, because then we could adjust variables of like, okay, where is it in the call that we seem to be losing them? And maybe it is not even just what we're saying, but how we're saying it. Even like you can hear right now, I'm smiling. And that means, like somebody can hear that through a phone versus if I'm talking like this and more, you know what I mean? Like even the tone of things can change how people react. I'm curious, do you record your calls? Is that something that you've done?
Yeah, so the system that we use is I forget, it used to be called Open Phone, so it
That's
records the
slow now.
calls.
I shit talk their
Yeah.
rebranding all the time. Like, what kind of name is that?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I was
Terrible.
actually so confused.
I know. But it's a great
Yeah, I was.
product, right? We've used it for
It
months
is.
now, and I'm obsessed. It's amazing.
Yes, yes. It's simple. Like your entire team can use it. I think like when they were switching over, actually, it was so weird that because I wasn't receiving anything, I wasn't receiving any notifications, and I was trying to figure it out, but I did end up figuring it out. I just deleted the app. I don't know why it took me so long to do that, but deleted the app, and then now it's working. So yeah, I love that app.
Yeah, and the reason I bring up call recording is, especially once you do start to outsource any of the phone communication, email anything. It's just like we need to have a record of that, because it's crazy. Like even us discussing getting nervous. Well, when you bring in an office person or a VA, you don't know what the hell they're saying, and they could panic and just totally say a bunch of nonsense. And then if you don't have those call recordings to listen to, like, why are sales down? Why are we not converting? Look at all these leads we're getting. Well, listen to the dang call recordings. That's going to tell you why.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Do you typically, like, when you train your people, do you typically like sit side by side or role play? Do you
Yeah.
guys typically do
We
something
did
like that? Yeah.
a lot of role playing in the beginning. Now they all can pretty much, like, any of my managers could like say it off the top of their head, just like I could. So it's very natural, but yeah, they were very deeply uncomfortable. And so for me, incentivizing them of like, you will get $20 every time you close somebody on the phone, like all of a sudden they were very excited to answer the phone. So funny how that happens, right?
Yeah, I remember watching your YouTube video on that. I remember that. I remember that.
Yes,
That's
money.
like that's super dope. Yes. No,
Yeah.
incentives are amazing because I do the same thing with my cleaners. Like I incentivize them on getting reviews, which then makes them do a really good job on each job, and it translates. So that's awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And circling back now to getting those initial residential clients, obviously you saying you reached out to family and friends, you were utilizing these cleaners that had already shown themselves to be great cleaners. And you mentioned Facebook groups posting in them. So what specifically did that look like? Was it community groups that were local, like Philadelphia parents or Philadelphia? Like what kind of groups would you suggest our listeners should be looking at?
Yeah, exactly what you said, which is the local groups, as local as you possibly can be. Like Philadelphia, there's like a whole bunch of different parts of the city, and a lot of people are in there and they are asking for cleaning recommendations because they trust their neighbors. So I would usually have my family or friends go in there and just comment under and say, "Hey, check out King's Cleaning Company. I highly recommend them." But yes, I had them doing that, but I also made sure that we did cleanings for them so they could see that we could actually do a good job, right? So
Mm-hmm.
no false recommendations. And then there's this one big Facebook group here. It's like all ladies, all women in Philadelphia basically are in that group, and my girlfriend is in there. So whenever she goes in there, she types it in. A lot of the friends that I have, they'll also go in there and they'll type in our cleaning company, and it's been really helpful.
That's awesome. So how many cleaners do you have right
So
now?
right now we have two teams. So we've been kind of cutting down a little bit, trying to focus on the cleaners that are doing a good job, filling up their calendars, and then but we're still like hiring. We're
Hmm.
still hiring. So yeah,
Absolutely. And
because you need to.
are they all women, I'm assuming, all of your cleaners?
Yeah. So one is a man, and then the other three are women.
I
Yeah.
gotcha. I'm just curious because obviously like you're a male owner and is your business partner a man as well, or is it a woman?
Correct. He's a
Okay.
man. Yeah.
I got you. Have you felt that there has been any negative consequences, intentional or unintentional, from being a male owner in kind of a female dominated industry? Have you experienced anything where you're like, people were surprised to have a man on the phone or anything like that? Has that ever happened?
Actually, I don't think so. People have been pretty nice and supportive about the company. Yeah, I no, actually, I haven't heard or seen anything about that. Yeah, so
That's great. And just the reason I bring it up is like, unfortunately, like cleaning is still stereotypically seen as women's work. And funnily enough, some people don't want men involved in that at all. And so I've just seen that before. If I've had male house cleaners, we've had some pushback, or, or my male cleaners are trying to hit on my clients, and that's really frustrating. So, a lot of
oh my
problems.
God, yeah, yeah.
So it's
Honestly,
great to hear that you haven't had that.
yeah, I think there might have been like one situation like last summer where we did hire a male cleaner, and uh, one of the clients was very surprised that it was a male cleaner. But then after the cleaning, when he did a good job, they were like, "Yeah, oh, I'm very surprised. He did an amazing job." And I was like, "Yeah,
Men can clean. It's shocking,
right,
right?
yes, yes." But I can see her perspective, and I can see why people have that perspective, because I think a woman's touch is a little bit different than men, but also I think it's about training and experience. Because if they don't have that, then that's a completely different story, and I can understand that.
Well, and yeah, like just it is an individual basis thing. And that just brings up actually what you said earlier on. I have some questions about keeping your Airbnb or your rental cleaners separate from your residential. Do you mean specifically one of these teams that you're speaking of, they do the vacation rentals and one does regular residential, or what does that look like?
So the four cleaners that I have, they don't do my Airbnbs at all.
Mm,
So the cleaners that I have are completely separate. So they have their own cleaning company. They work for themselves. So I just use them and keep them separate. But sometimes if I do need, a job done, I'll pull them in and have them, complete a job through our cleaning company.
Gotcha. So the ones who are doing the vacation rentals are an independent contractors or independent contracting company. And then are your cleaners W-2? Or are those also ICs right now?
They're also W-9, so
Okay.
1099.
1099. Got it. So independent contractors. That makes a lot of sense. So really training, did they come pre-trained basically? Like you did test houses, or what does that look like for your recruiting process, being that as a 1099, they should be pretty like up to snuff from a quality standpoint, or can you describe that to me?
So the reason why we came down to just a few cleaners now is because of that, right? It's very hard to find, I think what we talked about, which is consistency and reliability. So the cleaners that we have now, they've just been very consistent and very reliable. So when they did start off with us, it was, all about test cleans, right? Seeing what they can do, and then sending them out to jobs. And if they're consistently getting, good reviews, and our clients are very happy at the end of every cleaning, then we know exactly like this is the team for us. Especially if they've been with us for over a year now, it's such a good feeling. But the mistake that we've made before is when we were getting super busy and we were just like, oh, we need more cleaners. I actually
Need
talked about this
bodies.
on
Yep.
yeah, I talked about this on TikTok, but we need more cleaners. Let's hire people, and then we're just like, all right, I trust them. I think they'll do a good job, and then they don't do a good job, and then now you're in trouble. So it was a mistake, but it's all good. You learn from it, and you get to know that it's so important to follow the process, right? Follow the process that you've created, so everyone actually is on the same page.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like now that you're a couple years into this, that is the biggest area of growth for you guys, from like changing gears and evolving that process? Or are there other areas that stand out that you're like, this is way different already compared to how we were doing this in the beginning? Is there anything that stands out to
I
you?
think the main thing 100% is the cleaners.
The
They
recruiting,
can they
right?
make or mhm.
Mm-hmm.
They make or break the business. And if you're not constantly recruiting, if you don't have a pipeline, then you won't, you probably won't succeed, or it'll just take a lot longer. And I'm like, I know, like when I was thinking of kind of transitioning into like having W-2 cleaners, which probably plan on doing it, but it's going to take a lot because obviously you have to, provide a lot. I was actually watching your videos on that, and the amount of work that goes into it made me realize, okay, then you have to be very, very systematic.
Mm-hmm.
The systems are what's going to help.
Yeah, that conversation specifically with Chris Schwab, I can't remember what episode it was number wise, but we really deep dive into like 1099 versus W-2 and, pros, cons, and what all needs to be done. Because yeah, there's benefits to both. For you guys starting with 1099s, it makes perfect sense, right? Because I'm assuming, have you ever done a cleaning? Like, have you hopped in the field? You have?
I did. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, tell me
So
about
yeah,
it.
it was when we first started, we were like, we wanted to support our cleaners. We were all in, and we hopped into a few cleanings and we like felt it. We were like, this is hard. This is not easy. Yeah, one of the questions you asked on the questionnaire actually was like, what is like a cleaning hack, that you use? And like a cleaner taught me a cleaning hack, which was pretty cool because I'm like, I've never thought of this, but it helped me get the cleaning done when I was actually cleaning with them. And then my story was kind of interesting because I we did start the cleaning company in Philadelphia. About maybe 2 or 3 months later, I ended up moving to California with my girlfriend.
Are you in California now?
No, no,
Like,
no.
that
I'm back
doesn't
in
look like
Philadelphia.
California.
Yeah. No, no, no.
The Katy Perry
But
song is not like looking like
yeah, yeah. No. But yeah, we ended up moving to California. And initially I was like, definitely still want to run the cleaning company in Philadelphia. And initially I was like, I'm gonna get a job just to be safe here. And that didn't end up happening. So I started a cleaning company in California as well. So we were running both at the same time. I was waking up at like 5 a.m. when it was 8 a.m. here, and taking calls, and when the cleaners weren't reliable in California, I would actually go out and do the cleanings. And it was a sacrifice that I made, but it taught me a lesson that I need to hire more. I need to be on top of it. But yeah, that's a fun fact that
wow.
I probably didn't know. Yeah.
So is the California one still running, or did you guys shut that down?
No, we shut that down. Yeah.
Got it. Well, talk to me about that. Was that because you moved back, or you moved back to Philadelphia, or why is it that you shut it down?
Pretty far. And I kind of don't like to be so far from a business, so far away from, where my business is supposed to be running, especially for quality control. I think it's important that we actually go out to the cleanings and see what's going on. Right. No matter if they're a 1099 or, if they're W-2, I think it's important for the owner or a manager to be able to see, okay, are they actually doing a good job, or is the client just saying, yeah, they're doing a good job?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's important. But yeah, we shut it down mainly because it's pretty far, and it wasn't necessarily the market that we wanted. People think that it's actually like people are going to pay a lot more money down there, but people weren't really paying that much money because there are so many people that are independent that go in and clean the houses that charge a very low price to take care of their families. And we were coming in at these high prices, and people were like, "You're crazy. We're not paying that." So, so it was a struggle. It was a struggle.
Yeah, California is a very hard market because of the competition, and what you just said is that you are going to have to it is an uphill battle of branding and differentiation of we are so special and unique, and that's why you need to pay appropriate prices, frankly, for cleaning, in this day and age from a company. But when it's saturated like that, it's so challenging. And I'm so happy that you shared that you did experience remote ownership, and you are highlighting one of the biggest challenges with remote ownership of if you cannot afford an in-person manager of whether that be a field manager, somebody in the area to be doing that type of stuff, things can really fall apart fast because you don't have eyes on it. And I think I know I have a lot of owners who are or aspiring remote owners listening, because I've talked to them, whether through consulting and stuff. So love that you're being brutally honest right now of this is a struggle that needs to be addressed. You can't just set it and forget it. Remote ownership is very difficult.
Yeah, it's really hard.
The Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast is brought to you by ZenMaid. ZenMaid is the all-in-one software built for cleaning companies, making scheduling and client communication way easier. Check us out at zenmaid.com.
So coming from my experience of doing personal training and personal training sales, the way that I developed my coaches was exactly that, being able to see how their energy is throughout the entire session of someone that is brand new, right? Do you have consistent energy? Are you getting the job done? And is that client in a buying state after the workout, right? And then I'm able to give them advice after, if that person buys or not, right? compared to, you being remote, you're just hoping and praying that someone is doing a good job. And it's not a good thing. So you really have to be able to, you just can't be afraid to step in and be able to see everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And really what you're bringing up is proactive versus reactive behaviors when it comes to quality specifically of like when you are remote, oftentimes you are just waiting for bad news to get to you. And like you said, hoping that it doesn't, where when we are on site or we have somebody who can have eyes on the job site before the customer sees it, not all of them, obviously that's not possible, but some, like can we consistently quality check the teams on a regular basis or the cleaners? Then we're being proactive, right? We're nipping things in the bud, we're addressing things and not just waiting for complaints to come in, frankly.
Yeah, it kind of gives you anxiety because I have that anxiety
I could
sometimes.
never. I'm just like, and so for me, that was one of the detriments of like late night commercial and why we dropped like a lot of it is just like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just because like we weren't able to see it before the clients could, or like really quality check after any of the cleaners. Not that again, we don't do that with all of our accounts or anything like that. It's just consistently, but like every day I would wake up with like a pit in my stomach of like, are we going to hear from the daycare? Are we going to hear from the banks? Are we going to, like, who is it going to be today? And I just don't, yeah, there's certain things that I'm like, I don't want to feel this way on a daily basis. It's very stressful.
I know. Yeah, and people don't talk about things like that. I think people need to talk about that more, because there are always going to be struggles in any type of business, and you just have to be able to handle it. And I think for you, like you said, you just dropped those overnight cleanings because there was no way for you to actually see what was going on.
Yeah, exactly. Like for example, a daycare where, they opened up at 6 a.m. So if my cleaner called out, I would usually go in and, or if I knew she was doing a bad job, I would get there at 5 a.m. to like QC because if she did a bad job, I would have to fix it. Right. And so just like that, like the money is not worth it to me. Like that money, it was not a super high paying account. And yet I was putting myself through hell. And even like for you, like you getting up super early in California, so that you could handle the Philadelphia time difference. Like that is a sacrifice you were willing to make it at the time. But like looking back now, you're like, okay, I'm assuming you're glad that you're close to your business now. It probably is a lot easier for you.
Yeah, definitely. It's so much easier. But I think one thing that you mentioned. What was the last thing you said? I'm sorry.
The money's not worth it for that type of thing. You were
Yes,
stressed out. Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
That charging, you need to charge your worth. I think that is like so important. And I kind of want to hear your story on this is when you're charging less just to get a job done and just to say that, I got this cleaning done or I'm getting this revenue when you're actually not making that type of revenue, it just hurts your business and it hurts you a lot more than you think. And that was one of our biggest lessons is not charging enough and then realizing that we're actually not making any money. So I wanted to hear like your side. Like, have you experienced that when you first started?
Yeah, absolutely. Of like basically what we're talking about is gross revenue versus net, right? So what you just addressed is like it does not matter, and you'll hear like you guys will hear even from me like. Okay, we might have $120,000 revenue month, but that doesn't mean we're making $120,000, right? like there's pretty much it's very slim margins for us because I have so much massive overhead from from all of the choices that I've made. And those choices have been made for a reason. However, that directly affects net, meaning profit. So I totally agree of like, we've had accounts where, especially in the commercial realm, that's been the case where we bid it, it takes longer than we expected. And once we like run the numbers and we're like, shit, we're like losing money even having this account. So it's like, it looks like it's bringing in $2,000, but because of the time it's taking or scope creep or what have you, like, and after paying the cleaners and all the expenses, we're maybe averaging like $28 an hour. I think one of our accounts was still at once we did the math of what it actually was taking. And for us, that's like with what we pay our cleaners and all of the expenses, that is not making any money. That's losing money to have, like, it doesn't make sense. And it's so important that we're looking at these numbers. And even if you like, it doesn't matter if we like the account, like all that matters is the numbers at the end of the day. That doesn't make sense. And we shouldn't be doing things that don't
Hmm.
make sense.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah, just like don't ever put yourself in a hole. So that was honestly our biggest lesson is to not put ourselves in a hole. I actually made a TikTok video, which is very interesting because a lot of it stirred up, the pot for a lot of people. I talked about how much I pay my cleaners versus, how much, the business takes. So we take 60%. We try to stick to that, and the cleaners take 40%. And a lot of people were just like, you're stealing money from the cleaners. You're a bad business owner, but they just don't understand that we're not actually making 60%. So like I've posted videos after that of like what we're actually making, which is probably closer to like 20%, sometimes a little less depending on the month because of marketing. It actually costs a lot to get ourselves out there.
Running a business is so expensive. And like, even we've had that response from customers before where they're like, how dare you charge 55, 60 an hour? I'm a physical therapist and I don't make that much, or I'm educated and I don't make like all of the different forms, different exciting new ways to insult cleaning. They do that.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but it's like, listen, we're a business. We are not individual cleaners. We're not pocketing $60 an hour. First, you're paying your cleaners and then all of these other expenses. So like you said, I mean, for us, 20% would be crazy good margins because of our overhead. So like, it's really interesting how upset people get by that. And think that, okay, I've even had cleaners come to me, when they find out how much we charge and are like, well, I make $20 an hour. You guys are charging 55. Like, what the fuck, basically. And it's like, no, like that's not going in Stephanie's pocket. And I think that's why it's
Exactly.
important to, yeah, have these conversations and educate the public and just in general, your cleaners, your team. It's not a bad idea in my mind to like subtly drop like how expensive things are or the costs of doing business, because basically you're teaching them subconsciously like, hey, this isn't all going and like to Stephanie's pocket or whatever. And I think it's really good if you do any charitable giving, any type of that type of stuff. Like, I know I've talked to folks who feel icky about saying that publicly, but I'm like, the way I see it is, one, then people know that they're supporting a business that supports the community. But two, if they want to make buying decisions based on working with ethical companies, then you're giving them the ability to do so. If you're not public about that stuff, then you can't. So, yeah, I love that you are, on social media, you are sharing kind of maybe, I don't even want to say, I don't find what you just said controversial in the slightest, but it may be a little bit shocking or jarring to people on the first like instinct because they don't own businesses, right?
Yeah, I think honesty is key, and for a lot of people, they just don't understand, especially if you are not a business owner. And what I've realized is a lot of the people that were in the comments saying those types of things or just not agreeing with me, surprisingly, were business owners, but they're just not as educated, right? And that is why a lot of business owners are always going to be in a hole because they don't understand that running a business is you have to make money. If you're not making money, then there's no point of you running the business, right? And I 100% agree with them on like supporting your cleaners, paying them good. I fully understand that, and I do support my cleaners. I pay them good. I incentivize them. It's just that you need to make sure, as the owner, that you're taking money home, right, to be able to pay yourself, pay your family, right, take care of your family, and that's just the way that I look at it. And for me personally, I don't just want that to be it for me. I want more out of that. I want to live the life that I want to live, and that's my biggest reason for running a business. So
What you're making me think of is one, putting your own, like in the airplane during a crash, you're supposed to put your oxygen mask on because you can't take care of anybody else if you're dying, right? And that's kind of how I see the money in the business is like, if we're dying, we can't really take care of anybody else. If the business is financially dying, it's very hard to be generous. It's hard to give raises. It's hard to take care of your team in the way that we want to. So, have you had any shifts in mindset around money as time has gone down? Because and the reason I ask is I talk to a lot of owners who have, I think, a lot of negative connotations towards making money, and obviously this is filthy rich cleaners. I'm trying to talk about money a lot because I think people feel like because of their backgrounds or whatever. And I think our culture portrays like making good money as like greedy or something like that. It can be really met with a lot of internal negative stigma. So have you noticed anything in yourself shifting about money specifically?
Yeah, that's like such an amazing question. Because that has probably been the biggest change that I've made in my mindset. Because I grew up in a family that I didn't even know we were, poor. Like my mom was making it happen. She actually, ran her own business. My dad was working an overnight job, but they weren't really making money until I got to a certain age and I realized, okay, they were just really just trying to figure it out. And when I started growing up and I was making my own money, I didn't know how to manage money, didn't know how to invest it or anything like that. So I was very limited on knowledge. And then when I ran a business, I started to understand that like money is a great tool to your own freedom. And then my mindset completely changed when I just started listening to a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of different podcasts, a lot of YouTube videos on how to make money, how to be better with money, and how it can completely change your life. And that's kind of been the mindset for me. And if you can create it on your own, if you can, once you learn how to just make money on your own, like you're going to be unstoppable, right? No one is stopping you. You're always going to be able to figure it out. And you don't need to be like a crazy entrepreneur like Elon Musk. You can literally just be yourself. You can make 100K a year on your own and be able to live a fruitful life.
Totally agree. Is there any particular habits that you have changed over the past couple of years related to finances? I'm just curious because for us, we follow Profit First, which is like a, cash management system for businesses. So that's been a really helpful way to manage our business in general. Do you have any particular things that you have had to change with your behaviors related to like actual like action that you take with the money?
Yes, one that's been just like really helpful is taxes. Right, put away money for your taxes. Like, do not wait because we waited for a certain period of time and then we learned our lesson. Right, so just put money away for your taxes, and then everything else like is profit first.
Mm-hmm.
And that the whole concept of the 60% and 40%, 60% to the business and then 40% to the cleaners is just being strict with how much money you actually want to make, because what I realized is that when we first started, we were very up and down. We were just like, let's give the cleaners a little bit more on this job just because it might take them a little bit longer, or, let's give the client a little bit of a discount because we know them, right? So that made us like lose money, right? Those small things is what I kind of changed. That was the mindset shift for me, that I realized that if I take $10 off, if I give the cleaners $20 more, those small things made us lose more money because I was doing it more often.
So it's just stronger boundaries around the behaviors that you would allow related to money and behaviors in yourself, right? Where you feel like I have a very soft heart, and if the heartstrings are pulled, Stephanie will literally be like buying a house for a cleaner or something crazy like that. Cause I'm such a softie. And so I've had to be a lot more strict with that. When it comes to like boundaries, like let's expand that now outside of money in relation to the business, whether that be with clients, employees, well, really not employees, but contractors, with the community, just in general, or with yourself. Have you showcase stronger boundaries in any of these areas? Do you have any like silly examples where you're like, why the F did I do this? Like I shouldn't have done that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think the main thing is like with clients, is like when someone calls, and I think we talked a little bit about this with pricing, is you give them a price and they're like, you know, I'm gonna shop around, and then you're like, well, what's your budget? Right, and then they tell you their budget, and okay, well, maybe I can do this for you, and then you lose money on it, right? Just because you wanted to get the job, right? And I don't think that is worth it. So we've been doing a lot better on that. Boundaries definitely on that, and then boundaries with clients, where clients will maybe ask your cleaner, "Hey, can you clean this for me?" That is not included in the cleaning. And then, your cleaner comes back to you and they're frustrated because they're cleaning this. But we've created a system on that where if someone does say that they want to get something cleaned that's not in the cleaning that they have scheduled, then we're going to charge them extra. So small things like that, I think, have been really helpful.
It sounds like you guys charge flat rate because of what you just said with scope creep. Is that correct? You're a flat rate model?
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Okay. Talk to me specifically about first time clean estimating, because many of my consulting clients, as well as other guests on the podcast, have struggled with estimating on first time cleans and not losing their ass because they're charging flat rate. So would you care to elaborate on how do you estimate for first time cleans?
We do it strictly based off of square footage.
Okay.
It could be a three bath, whatever it is. But we strictly do it based off of square footage. I found it to just be simple for me, simple for the cleaners, simple for the client. All right. So, I guess we can, kind of do like an example.
Yeah, let's do it.
But yeah, so let's just say we're going to clean a 1,500 square foot home. We typically do like 30 cents per square feet.
On an initial clean specifically.
Yeah, on an initial clean. Let's say a deep clean, an initial deep clean. So for 1,500 square foot. So typically, like, so now that we've actually we know what our average cleanings look like. The number that I just got is $450, right? So depending on the call and depending on like what the client actually needs, we might keep that price or maybe we might lower it a little bit. So it's not always going to be the exact number that we like calculate, because it honestly will depend on the client or the person that we're talking to, because some people need a lot more. We want to make sure that we're not like cleaning hoarder homes, because those are a lot more. But I think that since we've stuck to this system, and if we have a little bit of wiggle room, if we say, hey, the cleaning is going to be $450, and they're like, that's actually a little bit out of my budget. Okay, no worries. I know in my mind that we have a little bit of wiggle room, so I'm gonna probably bring that down to maybe 370, right, to save them some money, and kind of go from there.
Got it. So, what does your relationship with auditing look like? Because, and the reason I bring this up is like I was running, literally as you were running that example, I was running it in Serene Clean's pricing to see like where would we compare. And so, in order to figure out what my price needs to be, I have to know Serene
Mhm.
Clean's production rate on a first time clean, initial clean, whatever. So, are you guys like looking back at previous jobs and like correcting and adjusting pricing? Has it adjusted over time?
Yeah, it's definitely adjusted, especially based off like the sizes of the homes. So, in my school community, actually, somebody asked, how do you go about dealing with someone that has such a big home and says, "Well, I've gotten a cleaning done for $100 before, and you're trying to charge me $400, right?" And I think the conversation is usually, what is actually included in how you guys go about cleaning the home, because it's probably two completely different businesses. So we have adjusted the prices, and based on how big the home is and the things that are going to be included or the things that are requested, we are going to either bump the price up or bump the price down.
Got it. I see. So it sounds like having a really solid scope of work. Like for us, we're really big on cleaning checklists. How do you guys handle that side of things when it comes to operationally what gets done and making sure that your cleaning techs, your contractors know exactly what's included in that? So, I mean, and also this kind of lends itself to like your tech stack. Are you using a scheduling software? How are you communicating this information to the cleaners?
ZenMaid. We're using ZenMaid. It's a yeah. That's where we started, and it's just such a simple platform to use. But whenever we're on a phone call, we try to get as much information as possible. And I think that's what usually helps. We do have our own checklist, but once you guys actually added checklists onto, I think, were these your checklists that you added on the
Yeah,
ZenMaid?
so they added digital checklists as a capability just the past couple months, and so yeah, I provided Serene Clean's actual checklist for them to use as templates. So yeah.
And then we've been using your checklist as well because it actually was a lot more detailed than my checklist. And you've been in the cleaning industry for a lot longer, so I could see where your vision was. So I was like, okay, this is actually like perfect, and it's all in one system. So it makes it a lot easier for the cleaners to just go in and know exactly what to clean.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's like even what you just said of like our checklist is super extensive. So like when I was running that pricing for that $1,500, I'm sorry, 1,500 square foot house, our price would be probably around 550, so about 100 more. But that's because my production rate might be a little bit slower than you guys, right? We might
Yeah,
be just slower, and so that's why pricing can vary like that. But it's not that far
yeah,
off.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's awesome though. That's awesome. Charge more.
Charge
Charge
more.
more.
Prices need to go up.
Yes,
Especially if I can
exactly.
charge that in like the boonies of Wisconsin, you can do that in Philadelphia.
Yes, yes. But you'd be surprised the people down here are just like, that's like a lot of money. But most people are willing to pay for it, and I think that's where the scripts are really, really important, right? How you talk about your business, how you get to, get that person to just open up a little bit more to you, get them to trust you, in order for them to do business with you.
Hmm. No, it's so important, and focusing on marketing and branding so that we can differentiate ourselves. And I'm kind of circling back and calling back to you mentioning like even your girlfriend being in that women's group in Philadelphia, and how important it is to have people advocating for your business in any flavor that you can, and people that are going to come across as authentic, right? Because people can absolutely sense inauthenticity, right? Like we can just smell it when somebody is not authentic. So I love that you're utilizing her in that way, so that it is coming from a woman, right? And she obviously knows the work. Like you said, don't ever ask anybody to lie for you, right? Like super important when we're getting reviews, when we're having people suggest us. Like love that your family and friends have all used you guys legitimately.
I think that's the most important thing because when you feel like you're being a legitimate person and being honest, it will translate. Like the energy is going to transfer over to others. They're going to be like, okay, like I can trust this person. So
Very much so. And, just coming back to your sales experience, like I'm sure for you with personal training sessions, and it was probably easy to sell because you were passionate about it and you knew you were genuinely helping people. And that's exactly my experience with selling cleaning, specifically in the residential side, commercial, of course, but it's just less emotional. But like, I feel it's really easy, at least for me, maybe for you too, to sell residential cleaning. Cause I'm like, I know we're going to make your life better. Like I just know it. And so it makes it just come across a lot like even though I may be like most people I find are nervous to say the number up until that point, like they're good, they're golden, we're clocking through the script or whatever, but they just can't spit out the number. That's where people get
yes,
stuck. And so any suggestions for people who do get stuck at that moment of like, oh shit, they're like, I don't want to say this number.
yeah. I still get that too sometimes, like for myself, but my biggest advice is to understand that you can't take it personally, right? So yeah, just reminding yourself before each phone call is your pockets are not their pockets. If you truly believe in your business and that you guys are going to do a great job, then you won't ever worry about that. You won't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I am so happy that you said that phrase because you are taking me back to like Stephanie opening the business, saying, I'm going to start at $25 an hour as a business and thinking nobody in their right minds would pay for this for cleaning because I could not fathom Stephanie paying for that, right? Meaning Stephanie making $12 an hour, of course, couldn't understand that people would pay that. So I think for a lot of us, we completely devalue our service and we assume that other people are not willing to pay that, where it's just like you have no idea the financial situations and also the value that people put on their time, right? Where it's just like I have been told in the same day that I should be ashamed of my prices and that they're sickeningly high. I've also been told that same freaking day, oh my gosh, this is so affordable. What a deal, right? So how can both of those things be true in the same day? Well, it's the person that's telling us that, right? Like right now I'm getting a fence put up. Okay. I can see the guy putting up a fence. And I think about this when that fence company man came out and gave me, he did the estimate. We looked at all of the options. He gave me the estimate. He didn't effing blink. I'm trying not to say the F word as much. That's one of my New Year's resolution. But fuck, it's hard. Um,
That's hilarious.
but he didn't even hesitate. He was like, this is what it's going to be. And like, he was so calm and confident that made me, I didn't bargain. I was like, okay, that's the price. And I really want a big old fence in my backyard. So this is like I value what is happening right now. And so
Hmm.
he did not hem and haw over giving me this price for this fence. Whereas like if he did behave as if it was
Yeah.
like if he behaved in a way I might not have gone with them, right? His confidence and just like steadfastness of this is what the price is. Here are your financing options if you want to go that route. Because obviously, fences and cleaning companies, we're talking about different pricing here, but it's all the same, right? It's all sales. And it's like if the customer consents that you do not feel confident in the price, like they're not going to choose you, or they're going to be able to like be like, I can bring them down, right? So we have to be confident or fake it even if we're not actually confident.
Exactly, exactly. If you're saying the numbers like a little scary, or you mumble or stumble,
It'll be
it's yeah,
450 for the first. Yeah,
right.
exactly.
They're gonna feel it. They're gonna feel it, and it's gonna translate, and they're gonna be like just exactly what you said. They're probably gonna try to negotiate, or they just might not go with you because you don't sound confident.
Hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And literally like practicing that of like, if you guys get stuck there, practice role play. Like if you've got, a friend that you can run scripts through and have them say, oh my gosh, like that's so expensive, like literally, because that's what customers are going to say to you. So we need to practice this so that we know how to behave and like put those objections in the script. Price objection. They say this is what I'm going to say. And then just practice, practice, practice. And all of a sudden it doesn't feel so painful anymore. And once you start to see the proof that people will pay your prices, it does bolster. It just, for me, it's always like you kind of mentioned the bigger houses, right? Like in that for us, we're a lot less likely to close on like a big giant house because the price is so like, even if you're charging by square foot or for us, we're using square foot as a way to charge hourly, right? So if you've got a 5,000 square foot house, for example, that is going to be let's see, for a first time clean, we are looking at 33 to 35 labor hours, which is going to be $1,800 on the low end for that first time. Like that number is scary to say. And I don't want to say that to them, despite they're the ones who bought the damn big house. All right. They should know. But like,
Yeah,
point
they
being,
should know.
They should know that they are investing in a giant house, therefore things are going to scale. And so those are the ones that we are least likely to close, because it's going to, like what you described in your the question in your school community was like, they balk. They say like, oh, I've had somebody for $100. Like, well, then go back to them. Like, don't talk to me, because it's not possible. It's not reasonable.
Hmm.
But just know, guys, yeah, the bigger houses, like a lot of times they have very unreasonable expectations, despite like that's the same price in scale or ratio to any size house. It's just based on the size. And so sometimes you're not going to get them, and that's okay. That's not my ideal client. 5,000 square foot, that's not my ideal. Not at all.
Exactly. Yeah. And they can sound really like, they can sound good. Cleaning those big houses, you're going to make, a lot of money, but it's also a lot because it's going to be a lot on your cleaners. And then if, they don't get something right, then there's going to be a lot of trouble. Because it's a higher price and the client is expecting just like a perfect cleaning.
Perfection for sure. And for us, like the bigger the house, yeah, the more intimidated our cleaners get, and they get kind of burned out on it. And a lot of times those big houses can be weekly or bi-weekly, and they're just like, I'm so freaking sick of cleaning that damn mansion, So yeah, not ideal always, but they can be great. They absolutely can, but don't fret if you don't get the big houses, guys.
Exactly. Exactly. Like you'll still be able to make money. You'll still be able to make money.
Exactly. So what does this next year look like? Have you set any particular goals, or are you a goal setter? What does your relationship with goals look like?
Love goals. I think my mindset is how can I just get better no matter what, right? And that's just on a daily basis. But yeah, I would say next year I'm gonna really be focused on expanding a lot more into the city. So what I've learned is that if you are not promoting your business on different platforms, or just on any platform and every platform, then there's a market that you're missing, right? So if you're not on TikTok, but you are just on Instagram, then you're missing the people on TikTok, right? So I think that's going to be my main focus, is how to get more content out to all the different platforms, especially with my cleaning entrepreneur academy, on teaching people how to just start a cleaning business. Because yes, it really does sound simple, but I want people that are actually going to, be able to do the hard work. It's all about your mindset and being able to just stay consistent and continue at it for a long period of time.
I so can attest to that this isn't necessarily like a complex business model to get into. Like it can be dead simple, but to do the right things consistently over and over, that is where most people can't do it, right? Because it is hard to have that discipline. It really is. It's tough to just like slog through the shit that's going to come your way, because it's very overwhelming. So you mentioned you have a school academy. You mentioned that you make content. Tell us a little bit more about that. If people are interested in joining, what kind of experience can they expect to have?
I realized that TikTok, I've been getting a lot of traction since I started posting a few months ago. So I decided to create a school community. It's called the Cleaning Entrepreneur Academy. And this is where I am building a community where people that haven't started a cleaning business yet, or cleaning business owners, are in that community. And, everyone is either asking questions or giving advice, right? Talking about their experiences. And I've been hosting Q&As every week, and it's been so insightful to hear everyone's stories. Last night I had a Q&A, and, one of the ladies said that, she was her background was in tech, right? So, and then she just left her tech job and is running a cleaning business, right? Like I can relate to that, right? I left my job in order to start a cleaning company, to, build my own freedom in a way. And it actually motivates me. It motivates me. And I think it's something that I definitely want to continue for a long time, because I genuinely love helping people.
I love that. That's amazing. And again, that authenticity really shines through. So glad to hear that you're building that community. We'll definitely link it down below if anybody is interested in joining or checking it out. We'll also link your TikTok, which I'm immediately going to head over and start watching all of your content because I'm really curious what kind of stuff is riling people up.
Yes, you'll see it. I have the video pinned.
Yes, love it. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. But thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation. I'm really grateful for your time. And this has been great. Everybody leave a little bit of love down in the comments below. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Go follow him over on TikTok. Check out his school. And thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate you.
All right, guys. See you on the next episode of Filthy Rich Cleaners. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast, please be sure to leave us a 5-star review so we can reach more cleaners like you. Until next time, keep your work clean and your business filthy rich.